Okay. Oha nasu konasu nasapu 7700. Thank you for the birthday redeem, Lofkey. 63歳の猫 VTuber ナス祭りと申します。Welcome to a third installment of ERP. Today we're joined by Salaryman, Madman, TheMadManAzn. Please go ahead use the collab function to check out his channel. Again, I won't be doing any like sort of greetings here in like collabs, so I'm gonna go right ahead and let Madman introduce himself.
Hey, hello. First of all, hey chat, Nasu. I don't have an awesome Japanese intro like Peen does, but pretty much I'm a fleshy meatbag who streams sometimes. Thank you, Peen, for having me on your ERP. I've been interested in this since I first saw your initial tweet about it, so it is exciting to be here.
Thank you, Miko Shasha, for the follow. Welcome to OO Patrol. Yes, thank you so much for coming on. I'm always looking for more people to come play ERP, ERP with me. So anyone who's like enthusiastic and interested in joining is always welcome. Yeah. So the just real quick for all of the audience members, you guys have a redeem called Affect the Story. This costs 500 channel points, so anyone who's like joining us just today or like joining me for the first time, you'll be able to, I think you'll be able to get to like 500 channel points like within the hour. So, and the thing is you can only use this once per stream, once per like ERP session. So think about exactly what you want to do. I'm going to try my best to incorporate what you want to do. Like, you can just say, like, a random rock comes out and hits Madman in the face. and
Wouldn't be the first time.
And, I'm generally flexible with a lot of things. Because this isn't, like, Dungeons & Dragons. This isn't, like, Pathfinder. This is straight up just us role-playing with a D20. So anything can happen. So also Madman as well. If whatever you want to do, whatever sort of like thing, just describe. Basically, there's almost no rules. Just describe what you want to do, how you're gonna do it, and I'm gonna roll to see if you're successful or not. That's basically the only ground rules for this these kind of sessions. Good thing I know about the. But yeah, so like just basically just be creative. Like you can just straight like I know like sometimes I also play ERP on my Discord channel every once in a while. So if you are interested, make sure come and join. We do it maybe like once a week, once every 2 weeks or so. But I know there are some people who just like to say, "Oh, I pull out my phone and I try to buy Naki Kamizuki merch." And I will roll for that. I'll maybe assign I maybe I'll assign some like higher number to like pass it, but like I will allow you to do it. You get lucky, roll a nat 20 on that. Like yeah, you got yourself some Naki Kamizuki merch. Okay, so any other sort of questions, Madman, or anyone else in chat before we get started?
I have no questions. I'm ready. As ready as I'll ever be anyways.
Okay. And then if there's nothing else from chat, I will go ahead and set the scene. Also, let me know if the BGM is too quiet for you guys. Good luck, man. He might need it. Nah, just kidding. I don't have I'm not like a cruel DM or anything. Google D20 is rigged. Okay, too bad. I've already set up the scene with it, so unfortunately that's what we're gonna be using. Okay, so you come to in a dark mine shaft. Your hands are monotonously picking away at the ore vein in front of you. For whatever reason, your body drones on, but yet your consciousness doesn't seem to really comprehend exactly what you're doing.
I like it. Head
Yes.
empty, no thoughts.
Exactly. You're basically you're droning away. You're mining a you're mining an ore vein. The tunnels in which you are working is dark. It is very dusty. It's very dusty. You have on a rudimentary cloth mask, and the only thing you can see is the slight glow of your mining helmet that illuminates in a very faint orange the wall at which you're working.
Mining helmet, interesting. What do I know? What is causing the illumination from my helmet? Is that something I know?
Yes, you feel the heat. Thank you for the VTuber cat redeem, by the way. I know what you want. There's Naki. You feel a warm glow, or you feel the warm embers blow. You feel the warm embers emanating from the top of your head. It is basically illuminated by candlelight. The candle basically rests inside of like a glass like module like strapped to the like the wooden like helmet.
Okay. I sort of let me first inspect my hands, inspect my body a little bit as I'm mining. I imagine myself as sort of immediately coming to lucidity a little bit from just this days of mining, a bit of that Skyrim, hey, you're finally awake moment.
Yeah, so you actually don't seem to recall why exactly you're mining. You take a look down at your you suddenly stop. You suddenly stop your labor, and you look at your hands. Your hands are large, thick, gloved in a dark, dirty leather. You're on your person. You hold a water canteen, a short blade, and a holster for the pickaxe at which you're holding currently. You look around and you notice there's actually no one else in the tunnel with you.
Interesting. So I'm in a dark tunnel mining away by myself. No recollection of why. I will and call out then. I will call out. I'm trying to think what I should say exactly. Gosh, this is a moment to be incredibly chaotic, but I think I will decide against it.
You can do whatever you want. Don't worry about it. I mean, hello, Nasu, welcome.
Just because I lack the context of what is going on. Actually, you know what? Why don't I just go ahead and deviate from my mining, and I will pick a random direction to walk in that is able to be walked. I'm obviously in some kind of mine shaft or corridor.
When you say random, would you like me to decide the random direction you're going, or would you like to? There's basically.
Do I have any choice?
Yeah, you have a choice. I mean, for whatever reason, like you weren't consciously mining, but you seem to have woken from whatever daze you were in and are now in full control of yourself. So the tunnel basically extends like it's just a long vertical tunnel. Not vertical, horizontal tunnel. Horizontal tunnel.
I'm a spider after all.
You're on your left, you see the start of a minecart track with one rusty cobweb covered minecart resting very like rusted as well, resting on the tracks, leading into the darkness through that side. On the other side, you see like more supports, like shaft supports, but also just basically leading into darkness. You reason that perhaps that way, the latter way is deeper into the mines, and then the former way is actually going out, based on your knowledge of mine shaft structure.
Okay. Why don't we try to leave the mines then?
Okay. Let me roll a couple of things.
Oh boy.
Okay. So you hear skittering, but the the noises are a bit unsettling. However, they seem to have died down a little bit as you continue down you continue along the path against the minecart track. Would you? By the way, you're going to be walking past this old minecart. Would you like to do anything with that?
I am so scared that the dice just rolled a 1. But why don't I inspect the minecart?
What exactly are you looking at on the minecart?
I will look for contents in the minecart. Are there any contents inside the minecart?
Okay, so as you come up against the minecart, it becomes a little bit bigger as you come up to it. Like before, you were just seeing kind of like a silhouette, but like as you're walking up to it, you realize that like the minecart is a lot bigger than you expected, or perhaps maybe you're not that tall.
Interesting.
So the minecart actually the lip of it goes to the top like edge of it basically goes up to your forehead. You're not in order to like inspect the inside, you're gonna have to climb up against it. Would you like to do that?
Yes, I would like to climb the minecart. I have a helmet. What's the worst that could happen?
True. Safety first, folks. So you climb up on the minecart, and you climb up against the minecart, and it creaks very slightly as you put your weight against it. You lift yourself up and see that inside are maybe like a few shards of various ores. You recognize it as mostly iron. There is one little nugget of silver in there. The skittering gets closer. Okay, so the skittering actually. Thank you for the story redeem, by the way. The skittering gets closer and closer, and before you know it, you are waylaid by 3 large spiders.
Oh goodness.
It
explains this cobwebs on the minecart.
Yeah. So the you do manage to get yourself off of the minecart, but you're a little bit clumsy, and the minecart topples over, and it requires maybe a little bit more effort and time to get it back on the cart and going than you have, basically, because there are 3 spiders upon you.
Yeah, I'm going to not worry about the minecart. That is the next miner's problem at this point. Directionally, where are the spiders? Are they blocking my path or the path I came from? Directionally, where do they appear?
So basically, they came from what you suspected to be deeper into the mine. Basically, if you were facing the wall that you were mining in the beginning, like you're right now to the right of that by the minecart that's now toppled over, and then they came from the left side. So now they're just basically in front of you. You do have a clear way behind you if you choose to run. However, these the speed at which you were beset by these spiders makes you think that they might be faster than you.
Okay, they might be faster than me. I've got a blade and a pickaxe.
Yes.
And a mighty helmet. Goodness. I will attempt to run. I think some level of fleeing is necessary in this case.
Okay.
Not confident about my ability to fight 3 spiders with a short blade.
Okay. Let me roll a couple of other die. Okay, so 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 you immediately quick on your feet, immediately make a 180 and dart down the path following the tracks. You hear the skittering pursue you. Lower, you also hear a slight crumble. You hear a slight crumble of like of gravel as you quickly look. You take a quick glance backwards, and you see one clumsy spider had tripped and completely blocked the path of the other 2 behind it.
I love it. Thank you.
You
praise the spider goddess.
Yeah, maybe perhaps it was the adrenaline from seeing 3 like large spiders that basically were double the size of you. Maybe it's just that you were a born natural runner, but you dart the fuck out of there. within seconds, the dark tunnels of the darkness overtakes these spiders, and you no longer hear any more skittering, and you assume to be relatively safe. Clumsy Ami.
No. These are spiders, not crabs.
True.
I will proceed, I guess, down the path I'm running. I certainly don't want to go back to the spiders. And the path I'm going is, to my knowledge, the way out. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I will continue moving at a reasonable pace. You know, not running, but
Okay.
you know, not too carefully. Reasonable, leisurely walk.
Oh wait, crap.
Oh,
Okay.
no. I see another one.
No, this isn't. I have the full access to like D4 all the way to D20, so I'm making use of some of them. Okay, so you continue down the path of following along the tracks, and you end up coming out into this like wider area. The tracks meet up. The tracks meet up against 5 other railings, 5 other tracks that, and they all go in separate directions. So basically, think of a spider. Like you're coming out from one of the legs, and there's no discernible difference between any of the other like shaft like entrances into this area. It's just basically one round open area. With a little bit of sunlight coming in from the very top, and that top is maybe like 50, 60 feet above you.
So there's an opening above me, just very high up.
Very high up, and it's just like a little bit of sunlight's coming through, illuminating just like the center of the room, which is like where all the minecarts meet up. There's a pulley, there's like a lever system that kind of like those like rotating platforms that kind of like move trains and stuff around into different. That's basically what's going on here in this opening area. The 6-legged spider.
There we go.
No. So there are 8 shafts. Just 3 of the shafts don't have tracks coming in from them.
Interesting. So there's no discernible difference. The tracks all have similar amounts of wear. Do the non-tracked entrances or holes, I guess, do they have any noticeable footprints or traffic patterns?
One thing that you notice is that all of the tracks are similarly rusted and broken, and it just not through any sort of force, but rather just through like sheer wear of the ages. You do find it a little bit unsettling. There seems to be no discernible like signs that anybody has passed through here in at least several months, maybe years even.
My goodness, what have I been doing? Since we have some light in this room, I'm going to take this opportunity to inspect myself a little further, because it was earlier mentioned that when I was trying to climb the minecart, I was rather a bit small, and these spiders are rather a bit big. Can I inspect myself in the light?
Yeah, so you walk over to basically where the light column's coming down, and you are more able to see basically your build, your stature. You are you have a full dusty beard coming down all the way to basically your navel. You are short, you are very stout, but you have the muscle build of essentially like a Hercules. You are basically a mountain dwarf.
Ooh, I like it.
What's with all these furry tail waves?
Oh goodness.
Anyway.
That tail is perhaps uncomfortably smooth in
Yeah.
its wave.
Further inspection, you have on a pair of hiking boots. Essentially they're just like leather boots. Leather boots like fitted with iron spikes at the bottom to give you like grip against like more slope surfaces. And generally you're not armored in any sort of way. You do have a blade. However, the rest of your aside from like maybe the thickness of your leather gloves and like your boots, everything else is just like normal like cloth that you would expect a worker to be wearing.
Okay, perfect. We've taken advantage of the light. If all the shafts are... Oh, okay, let me see. I can take a moment. Do I have any kind of, like, perception or insight based on any kind of airflow or anything like that? Whether there's any further difference, or if not, I will probably just pick a random one to go down.
Okay, so... You take off one of your gloves and you kind of like lick one of your dusty sweaty fingers, and you hold it up in the air, and you're convinced that shafts 1, 3, and 6 have a major air current blowing through them.
1, 3, and 6. Interesting.
I guess like yeah. So let's just say the tunnel you came out of is 1, and then it goes all the way around clockwise,
okay.
Until 8.
Okay. Why don't I... Give me a sec to visualize this. 1 to 8. So 3 and 6 are...
Yes.
Vaguely at 90-degree angles from each other. They're kind of opposites.
Yeah, more or less. There's about equal separation between each of the shafts in terms of distance.
Okay. I will go down 6.
Okay, so you continue. So basically, I guess before you make that decision, 3 has a track coming into it, and then 6 does not.
Oh, interesting.
So if you like to make any sort of...
No, I don't think so. If the tracks haven't been used, I'm not going to think too much on them. Okay. I will still go down 6.
Okay, so you start going down to 6, and you as you once again recede into the darkness, you start to notice that the slope of the path starts going downwards. You make your way down to the point where the slope becomes so steep where it almost becomes untenable, but you manage your iron spiked hiking boots manage to keep your footing. At this point, you reach what it seems to be a hole with an iron chain going down it.
Hey, I've come all this way. I will try to climb down the chain.
Okay. Okay, so you didn't actually check to see whether the chain was actually anchored anywhere. Oh, so you just jumped down the hole, grabbed the chain, but the chain was just in a pile, not anchored to anything. So the chain you fall, the chain rapidly like follows you.
Perfect. This is the content I've been looking for.
And you seem to tumble. You seem to fall for only what appears to be maybe like a split second before hitting a much steeper hill, and you begin rolling down. As you roll down the cliffside, okay, so you're basically screaming at the top of your lungs. Your screams echo throughout like the cavern in which you fell into, and you ultimately end up basically plastered into a pile of old pottery, which shatters upon impact, slightly cutting your arms and legs.
Perfect. Here I am. I will dust myself off and attempt to pick myself up.
You can, yeah, you can do that. I'm not gonna roll for. Actually, let's see if something funny happens when you do that.
There we go. Yeah. Oh no.
Okay, now you get up. You get up. Oh yeah. Actually, let me just share the screen with you, Madman, because
Okay.
that way you don't have to wait for the stream to show it before. I forgot I did this with my previous guests, so now you can like actually see like the thing I'm rolling. Anyway, so yeah, you get yourself up. You're a little bit like battered and bruised, but nothing seems to be totally dislocated or broken that you can't get yourself up, dust yourself off.
All right. Well, I'll dust myself off and be like, well, that was a bit foolish. I'm in a predicament now that's a bit thicker than a dwarf's beard. I will inspect my surroundings if there is any light to do so. Is my helmet still illuminated, or has that terrible fall caused my candle to go out?
The candle is no longer lit. The rolling and tumbling has broken the glass module like containing your candle, and the candle had fallen out somewhere. However, inspecting the area, you see that this is actually what seems to be a town, like an underground town, and it seems to be illuminated by a bright blue glow of minerals surrounding the edges of this open area.
Okay. In the area I'm in, is this a room? Is this like a cavern? Are there pathways?
So essentially, you're at the foot of a large, steep cliffside. Perhaps maybe like 45 degrees. Like not like something you can't climb back up if you so choose to do, but also not like shallow by any means. You're up against a building, an old clay building. And you're basically standing in a pile of broken, dusty pottery.
Very interesting. I'll inspect the building if I'm able to have if the glowing suffices to do that. Does the building look like it's been used recently, or does it look a bit abandoned?
So you walk around like the side of the building, and you. Going around to the side, because like the side that you're on is just basically a wall with like a window at the top like basically the second floor essentially. A shiny little eggplant fairy comes and offers you hiking tools, a weapon or direction to get treasure. You can only choose one. Okay. So upon walking into the abandoned street, it's very much abandoned. Like there's almost nothing around anywhere. Like the wooden doors have long rotted. A lot of the structural foundation of the surrounding buildings have like crumbled. The building that you see as you come around the side just seems to be like an abandoned storefront. Perhaps like a market in days past. There's like a tattered tarp like hung up by only one pole, like some sort of like awning thing, but like it's been long degraded over the passage of time. You do, however, see a small purple glow inside of a jar that's just sitting in one of the stalls.
I will approach the purple glow.
So with a brilliant magical feeling dust cloud, the jar explodes open, and you see a floating. You see what resembles like perhaps an eggplant, or perhaps an aubergine if you're from whatever region that uses that word instead. and it it seems to float with magical properties, and it talks. It doesn't have any sort of discernible mouth. However, you hear, "Welcome, traveler. Welcome. My name is." Let's find out. Let's find a name for this.
There we go.
My name is.
Time to bust out the name
Yeah.
generator.
My name is Glasnol. I am a magic eggplant fairy. I grant wishes to all those who find me. I can give you tools for your journey, a weapon of your choice, or directions to find magical treasure.
Oh, what witchcraft is this? I find a floating eggplant in an abandoned city.
It is not witchcraft. It is purely pixie magic.
I surely must be hallucinating. But if I am hallucinating, I might as well pick treasure.
Okay, treasure it is. With a just eat the eggplant. With a slight twirl, the eggplant fairy pixie thing disappears into a magical purple dust, and leaving behind it is a is a rolled up piece of parchment.
Perfect. I will approach the parchment and pick it up.
Okay, so the parchment seems to be of very fine silk. Despite its like appearance and its questionable origin, it seems to be like brand new, very sturdy, and it unveils itself as you pick it up. It magically, let's see what see how powerful I want this to be. Okay, it magically focuses onto the center of the parchment a glowing purple eggplant shaped icon, and around it the what seems to be, as far as you can tell, the layout of the streets surrounding you and the cavern begin magically etching itself onto the parchment. On top of that, you see a bright blue glowing trail, like a dotted trail, telling you to go down to the street to your left, and that's as far as the parchment is showing.
I must certainly be dreaming, as I was certainly in a daze mining. But if I am dreaming, I will follow the dream and see where it takes me. So I will follow the dotted trail.
So as you
I will
follow,
also, if I can, kind of like look around me because I'm in a foreign place, right? This abandoned city.
Yeah. So this abandoned city has a sense of familiarity to it. Everything seems to be about your size, like the doorways rather, and like the whatever remnants of doors that may exist. The doorways, the stalls, the benches all seem to be about your size. So there is some sort of familiarity with this area that you can feel. However, it just seems to be long abandoned. Dust everywhere. Many of the buildings succumb to the ages. One thing you notice as you're wandering down the street, following along the path, the eggplant icon on the parchment does not move. However, the streets and the whatever building landmarks around the parchment begin to move along as if it was magically tracking the movement that you're making.
Interesting. I've acquired a map. I'll need to cover up for the stream snipers not to come get me. All right.
That's
I will
welcome.
then continue following the blue trail. I'll also keep my eye out in my surroundings and look for anything that may resemble some kind of like shops or anything that sells maybe something not pottery.
Okay, so as you as you're walking along the path, you notice that on top of the blue glow there are little yellow dots that start appearing in random like you assume to be like inside buildings and or they're just random locations, like not exactly following the path that the parchment map has denoted for you, but they are within your reach. Like for example, just heading down the current path you're seeing, there's maybe there is a yellow glow on the parchment about perhaps two buildings down on your left.
Okay, I will cautiously approach that building then, because I'm interested in what these markings are on the map.
So you deviate from a little bit from the blue marked path. You deviate slightly from the blue marked path, and you find as your icon approaches the yellow dot, you seem to have found yourself wandering into a old weapon store.
Interesting.
All
right.
Yes. So where on the actual map itself, the yellow dot seems to denote one pile of old weapons that are like just on the ground in the store.
What is going on? I can't believe Peen got Madman killed by goblins. Wait, what is going on? Okay.
Has not yet been goblins in this session so far.
Okay, I will approach the denoted pile of weapons on the ground and sort of gingerly sift through them.
So you kind of sift through like it's a pile of like very rusted like warhammers, axes, and other assortment of blades and blunt weaponry. Underneath the mostly rusted and far unusable weapons, you find a one-handed mace. It's the mace itself seems to be in relatively less rusted state than the rest of the weapons on the pile, and as you pick it up, the yellow dot on the map disappears.
Interesting. All right. Well, do I have any place on my persons to put this? Would I need to how is that short? What was it? I'm trying to remember that. How is the short blade attached to me?
You have a holster for the short blade. It's like it's like attached to your belt. Your pickaxe, which you miraculously still have, is strapped to you using like this harness that like goes across your shoulder, like across your chest diagonally. You think that you could probably squeeze in the mace into this, but that would probably be the limit of this harness.
Okay, I will try to keep the mace on my persons then, if that is possible.
Okay, yeah. So you can hold on to the mace. You notice that like there still seems to be no signs of life whatsoever. However, in the corner of this store, you see mounted against the side of a wall what seems to be a torch, but instead of like a flame, it's one of the blue shards of crystal. Like holding against, like being held at the tip of it, like illuminating about maybe like the same level of illumination as your candle from before the store, in a light blue glow.
Interesting. I will approach it and I will inspect it to see if there's a way to either attach it to my helmet or just simply. I'm trying to think. I'm imagining my hands right now. I suppose one is holding the map and the other is empty.
Yeah.
But is there any way to affix the the stone to my helmet? Are there any like ropes or twine or anything to do that?
So your helmet has like a strap on it where the glass like module used to be. But the strap is still there, and if you like, you can try to attempt. You could probably like squeeze something in there. It would just it would just be a matter of trying to like extract this crystal from this torch on the wall.
Okay, well, why don't I give that a try?
Okay, so you easily pry off the crystal from the iron torch that had been holding it previously, and you affix it to your wooden helmet, like just by kind of like squeezing it into the strap against your helmet. This glow gives a little bit because you had to put it into the strap. It gives off a little bit less light than your candle previously, but it will probably do you like it'll probably like be you'll be able to see things at least a little bit in total darkness.
It's a net positive. I'll take it. All right. I think I will then. Actually, you mentioned earlier that my whole time in this city, I'm looking around and there's no signs of life.
None at all.
Have there been any signs of like death? Like, are there any bodies, bones, anything like that? Have I noticed anything like that?
No, it doesn't seem like there's any sort of bodies whatsoever. Like no signs of struggles, no sign of like strife at all. It just seems to be a you reason perhaps maybe it has been abandoned, or maybe something else more sinister has happened.
Okay. I will go ahead and exit the shop and align myself to the blue path on the map.
Okay, so the blue path takes you yeah. The blue path takes you towards the outskirts of the city. You find yourself now against a basically in front of a large ravine. The blue path tells you to cross this ravine, but you see no discernible way to cross over as of right now. At least for as far as you can see. It's maybe about, by your estimates, about 30-40 feet wide.
Okay. Let me think about that for a second. Are there any let's see, question 1. How long have I been walking to get to this point? Trying to get a grasp of time.
So yeah, you based on your just internal sense of time, maybe it's definitely not been an hour. Maybe it's been like about like 30-40 minutes since you've picked, like, from when you picked up this map.
Okay, relatively short amount of time. Okay.
Yes.
Does the map give any indication of a difference in either direction of the ravine, whether, one direction or the other way, if I were to go?
So the map scope is relatively small, as you basically observed while you were walking down the thing. So basically the map shows perhaps maybe like at most a 2-3 minute walk at a leisurely pace in either direction, because it seems to be affixed, like you yourself seem to be affixed to the center of this map.
And sorry, how wide was the ravine again?
It's about 40 feet by your just by eyeballing it. Looking left and right to the ravine, it seems to go on for a decent amount of time. The side on the right comes up against like a cliffside. It almost looks as if this cliffside was just like a like artificially like carved out, because it's a little straighter than you would imagine a cliffside being. And then the left kind of slowly the left side of the ravine slowly descends.
That is an interesting choice. I will ponder it in my head and rationalize that perhaps the natural descending way will have some natural method of getting across, such as maybe it descends enough feet that I can, get down and climb up the other. But then I'll rationalize if the other way looks a bit artificial, maybe there will be some kind of a dwarven-made path to get across. So let's believe in the me that believes in the you, and we will go down the right path. That seems a bit artificial.
Okay. So you make your way towards the right path, going like following basically along this like deep chasm. You come up against it doesn't take very long time to come up against essentially what is like a complete like 90-degree like wall in front of you. This it extends also over this ravine. However, you don't really see like a discernible top to this like this whatever structure this might be, and it seems like the cliff side extends all the way down the cavern as well, or this wall kind of extends all the way down the cavern as well.
You mentioned this was on the outskirts of the city, kind of thing.
Yes, yeah. So basically, if you were to like say you're facing this 90-degree cliff. If you look to your right, that's where the city is. That's where you came from. And then if you look to your left, that's where the ravine is. The map shows, that there is a yellow dot. If you could somehow make your way inside of this wall, essentially, the map does denote this wall right in front of you, but there is a yellow dot inside of this wall. And then also there is a yellow dot all the way down. Would you assume to be all the way down the ravine as well?
Well, I've tested my luck in jumping down holes once already, so let's not push that. I probably am still wounded from that tumble, but let's go ahead and just keep. Can I keep following this wall and just sort of see if it ever? For some reasonably not insanely eternal amount of time to see if there's some kind of a difference to ever come across anything.
Okay, so you can't follow it against when it goes over the ravine, obviously. So
got it.
So you'll be. I mean, you can follow it going right. So as you kind of go right, the wall makes a sharp curve to the left. So as you walk around, you actually notice that this seems to be this large castle front. It seems to be the structure seems to be decaying from the ages. However, you do end up following it up to a large iron gate. The ravine, anyway.
I will inspect to look for any signs of usage or passage at all recently. I know you just mentioned it looks a little dilapidated from the ages, but one can never be too safe.
Okay, so actually the iron gate looks, despite all of the other signs that this place has been long abandoned and not well kept, the iron gate actually looks not rusted at all. And there are scratches against the bottom of the gate, basically indicating frequent usage as of very recently.
Wow. Okay. Let me. Am I able to sort of inspect my surroundings a little more and get a feel for, I guess, what the gate and the wall and the castle looks like a little bit?
Yeah, you can just continue from your first observation. So
okay.
So essentially, what you assume this to be first a castle is actually rather what seems to be a fortified city gate, more or less. And through the gates, you actually see a large rock bridge, essentially, that goes over the ravine. And then surrounding the gate on either side is what seems to be two towers, And on the right side of the gate, just facing it, there is a entrance that seems to go inside of this tower. And the walls against like the gate have the similar blue stone lit torches.
Do any of the towers appear like there's anyone in them?
Not as far as
or
you
am
can.
I able to see that far?
You can see relatively far because everything's illuminated by the blue stone. However, like you can't tell from where you are like what might be going on inside these towers. The tower on your left doesn't seem to have an entrance on this side of the wall. You think that maybe there might be an entrance on the other side, like similar to how it looks on the right tower. But yeah, you can choose to like look inside if you wish.
Look inside ? The gate?
The right tower. So there's a doorway.
Got it.
There's a doorway going into the right tower. But that's as far as you can see. Like you're not like in front of it, so you don't know what's inside.
Got it. Okay, let's go ahead and carefully approach the door.
All right, so you attempt to carefully approach the door, but you just like you kick over like some rubble, and it just kind of like and that piece of rubble happened to be holding up like a pile of bricks, and it just tumbles all over the place, making a ton of noise as you approach the door. Okay, you peek your way rip. You peek your way into the door, and there seems to be a figure there. You're not sure exactly what it is just by peeking in the door, but luckily they seem to be asleep, and they don't notice the noise that you made.
Okay. Can I sort of gently test the door handle to see if it is locked?
So yeah, there is a door handle, but like it's like rotted wood, just similar to like the way that you saw most of the wood that you saw in town. So like you're able to see directly into it, and you could probably even squeeze in through like the big rotted hole on the door. But yeah, you can turn the doorknob if you like.
I mean, if it is rotted and not of functionality, I will attempt to enter then.
Okay, so
quietly.
Despite your clumsy steps from before, you actually managed to squeeze through this door without even touching any of the splints or the frame of the door itself. As you get inside, you notice that the figure that is just sleeping against the wall is a gnoll.
Oh, I see.
It's fast asleep, basically like sitting against the wall, spear in hand, just dozing off.
So for the risk of assuming anything, am I allowed to do some kind of like internal confirmation on whether gnolls and dwarves are aligned in any way, or if there's any history of gnolls being sufficiently friendly to approach?
You try to recall anything about that, but for whatever reason your memory is very hazy, and you basically know nothing other than the fact that this is a gnoll.
What is the gnoll wearing? You mentioned they had a spear. Besides the spear, are they wearing anything?
So they are wearing basically like what seems to be like a copper or bronze. You can't really tell with just by this faint blue light, but you see that it has like some sort of like brownish orangish metallic alloy chainmail, and it is otherwise like not dressed with any sort of like recognizable symbols, but just like sleeping with a spear and like some chainmail and like some leather pants.
I am having this internal monologue in my head. So I have zero knowledge on whether gnolls present any form of like alignment, or I have no preconceived notion of gnolls.
Thank
Like
you
if
for
I
the
were to
follow.
look at
Welcome
this
to Roll
gnoll,
Patrol.
I look more or less the same as I looked at the Glasso, the eggplant fairy. Is this correct?
Yes, yeah. So basically, like try as you might, all you can think of when you look at a gnoll is just like, oh hey, it's a gnoll.
It's a gnoll. Okay.
Oh, furry, cool.
You know, there's appeal to that to some.
Is Madman a furry?
Is it
Neutral.
depends on your
We don't-
definition.
He won't admit it, but maybe he slightly leans towards.
There we go. It's fur curious, if that's the term. Okay, I will. In my best attempts to not metagame this at all, I will inspect the room and see, is there another like entrance out of the tower on the other side, like towards the inside of this this gatehouse, I guess.
So there is a ladder that goes upwards. Other than that, the only entrance to this area seems to be like the door that which you snuck in.
Okay, so I just want to confirm I'm understanding correctly. I'm in the right tower. And
Sir
the right
Fenny,
tower...
this gnoll is incredibly handsome to your perception. Like has like a large chiseled chin, with with astounding pecs and like an 8-pack abs.
Oh goodness! It reminds me of sorry, a minor detour, but have you seen those pictures of the really jacked kangaroos?
Oh yeah, the ones that look like they fucking fucking like bench press like 500 pounds.
Yeah, that is my mental image now. Okay, so
I like
yeah,
the one where, like,
the right tower, it only has a door towards the outside of this complex, and the left tower, from my observations earlier, had no doors.
On the side of the gate that
on the outside that I was looking at. Okay. I will do my best to quietly climb up the ladder, because if I am not metagaming this and I have no preconceived notions of gnolls, I will just try to sneak by.
Okay, so despite the ladder looking very much decrepit and old, you gingerly step on each rung, carefully avoiding the ones that you deem to be structurally unsound, and make it up to like the next floor, basically making zero noise at all. On this floor, you see a lever hooked up to some sort of mechanism that you can't exactly tell from this area, from like where you are, basically what it does, but you can reason that maybe it has something to do with the gate. This area actually has a window, kind of like seeing out both behind you towards the town and in front of you towards like the ravine. This gives you a good view of both like right in front of the gate as well as like down this rock bridge. But there's no illumination past the rock bridge, so there's not much you can see beyond that. Flex your pecs at it, see how it responds.
Okay, so internal monologue in the mind of the madman here. If I am to open the gate, undoubtedly it will make noise, and I feel like undoubtedly I will awaken the gnoll, whether it is friend or foe. So instead of immediately opening the lever, let me look around this upper area. Are there any notable things that stand out other than lever? Are there any ropes or uh, like straps or anything I could maybe use to bind the knoll.
You still have the iron chain kind of like surrounding, like basically tangled around you from when you fell at first into
okay.
the.
I've been just dragging this iron chain this whole time. Okay. I'm now
No,
exactly. That is, I knew the risks when I said those words. And chat does not disappoint.
My chat's sussy as hell. I had them vote for like what my monthly community scab was gonna be, and they all majority chose spanking paddling.
Oh no. Is that gonna be sort of not safe for work kind of thing then?
Probably. I won't be posting it on my normal Twitter, but we'll there's a tag for that. Thanks for the Nia. Oh.
I was gonna ask, so that probably won't make it to a future schedule or something then.
Maybe I'll crop it for a thumbnail.
Okay.
that always gets the viewers in.
There we go. All right, I will. One thing at a time. I will. I was testing my luck, but I will have to push my luck here. I will try to descend the ladder with my chain, and one step at a time. I'll see if I'm able to successfully descend, I suppose.
So, on your way down, you inadvertently step on a rung that has been completely rotted, but from the inside. You immediately crush this rung, falling down. Basically, like with that impact on the next run, it basically gives as well. You basically are splitting the ladder in half as you're sliding down a bit, and basically with the weight of your feet. The knoll actually notices the noise, wakes up, looks up to comes up to like the ladder to see what's going on, and you land on him, killing him instantly.
Oh. All right. Hey, I'll take it.
Your 200-pound frame just like flattens him into a knoll pancake.
Delicious. I love some pancakes. Especially the fluffy ones. I'll have to wonder about the knoll ones at a later date. Perfect. Am I able to inspect the knoll flattened dead body? Is there anything of use on their body?
So yeah, from like your just dwarven craftsmanship knowledge, you reason that this chainmail was probably copper, not an alloy like bronze, because it seems to have bent under the weight of you falling, and the iron spikes on your boots managed to pierce it very easily. Rendering basically this chainmail unusable. However, there is he did leave behind a spear. And upon inspecting the spear, you notice that it's actually of a very high quality make. Something that you wouldn't expect gnolls to be able to do. Something that you would expect more like likely to have been of either dwarven make or perhaps like a more skilled like human blacksmith make.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm debating how to go about this then. It sounds like the spear would be useful. I guess I will hold the spear with my free hand then, if I have a free hand, right? I have the map in one hand. I should have is this like a, but you said it was a large spear. Would this be like a two-handed kind of?
You're able to.
I need to grip the shaft with both my hands.
You have so basically with your knowledge of like spears, they seem like they're essentially weapons that can be used in with both hands, but the effectiveness will be diminished if you're using it one-handed. Rip the shaft. Whoa.
Okay. Right when I said that, an ad started running for me for Dick's Sporting Goods.
Hey.
Brought to you by Dick's. All right. Yeah. Sorry. The advertisement had me so confused.
Perfect. Everyone this is if this is not proof that every fucking company listens to every exact thing we're saying. I don't know what is.
Yeah. I will. Okay. I will hold the spear for now, and I will. Okay. So I'm in a bit of a predicament, actually, if I think about it, because I want to enter this complex, but I've broken the ladder for the lever to actually open the gate. If I look around, is there any things I could possibly? How tall was the ladder? How tall is the second?
The ladder was about 25 feet tall.
Jesus. Okay.
And just by looking at the ladder and yourself, you estimate yourself to be maybe like 3.5 feet tall.
Blasts.
However, like despite the ladder being completely bisected, like from like the third rung down, like it still holds its it's still like basically leaning up against like the place. You can attempt to climb the broken ladder if you wish. Man.
Why don't I leave the spear down here for now? Then I'll put away my map and I will attempt to once again ascend for the second time.
Describe how you're leaving the spear.
Okay. Why don't I lean the spear? I mean, how big is the room? Can I get a little layout of the room real quick?
So yeah, the spear is maybe like 4-ish feet long. It's like a little bit taller than yourself. And the room is about maybe 2.5 spears, like in terms of like diameter.
Okay, I will just lean it next to the ladder then, if I can, against the wall.
Okay. All right, so you leave the map as well. You said.
Do I have any place to put the map? I don't really
you have pockets in your pants and like jacket.
Yeah. Can I just fold up the map and put it in my pocket?
Yeah. You don't really necessarily need to fold it. You can just kind of like wrap it up and like it fits into like your one of your pockets on your jacket, pretty securely.
Hey, as long as I don't go tumbling down any more holes, not checking the chains, I think I'll be good.
Okay, so despite the ladder being completely just like a glorified pair of like 20-foot long stilts, you managed to climb up using kind of the wall as like leverage against the ladder, and managed to climb up to the second floor once again.
Man, clown school is paying off. I will then. Can I look out the windows again? You mentioned there was a window that had a good view of both the ravine and the bridge and the town, correct?
Yeah. So which window are you looking out of, and what are you looking for specifically?
I guess. Sorry, was there a window that looked towards the complex at all?
So you mean like past like the rock bridge, basically?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can see the rock bridge, but like it kind of fades into darkness, because like towards the end of the bridge, like the blue light torches like are like they there's no more blue light torches, so they just kind of like goes into like advanced darkness.
I'll just look to see, is there anything different than prior, before the descent?
So you take a look around, and you notice actually that there is another gnoll that seems to have crawled out of the left tower and is like kind of just like wondering what's going on. Probably it woke up from the from your fall, or the whatever noise that was made. It's dressed very similarly, same like style, like chainmail and about 4-foot long spear.
How far is the knoll from my present location, roughly?
So if you were like, say you're about like maybe like 25, 30 feet up in the air, or like up like, and then like essentially he's right now, the knoll is walking towards the gate. You assume to kind of try to like communicate with the other knoll, try to like get his attention or something. He's like right on the, like, I would say maybe like if you were to go straight, if you were like straight on the ground, maybe like another 10 feet away from the right tower.
Okay. I'm gonna quickly look around myself. Are there any small throwable objects such as rocks or of the like?
Yeah, so this tower, like, despite the gate being relatively like well maintained, the tower itself does not seem to be. There are like there is a side of the wall that is like cracked and a little bit crumbling, so you could probably like wrestle out like a small throwable size stone out of that.
Yeah, I'd like to do that if we can try that.
Okay, so what are you doing with the stone? I'm gonna roll this all together.
I want to throw the stone in the opposite direction, maybe on the other side of the left tower, away from the gate, to create a noise over there, if possible.
Okay, so you managed to rip out the like a decently sized piece of rock, and you throw it, but your pathetic throwing arm only manages to like reach maybe like 5 feet horizontal distance. It immediately drops, and it like nicks the knoll in the shoulder, and it looks up and it notices you.
Oh no. Dwarf Papa, this is why we never played catch as children. Okay. Wait, let me think about this real quick. He is on it. Knoll left knoll. Left knoll is on the inside of the gate. And I am on essentially the outside of the gate presently.
Yeah.
He has noticed me though, or
yeah,
it
like he notices your. He doesn't know like, it doesn't notice like what you are exactly, but it definitely noticed something like threw something at him. You hear it snarl, and it immediately begins to rush back into the other tower.
There's no way out of this now. I'm gonna pull that lever.
Okay, so
I'm all in.
you pull the lever down. You hear like a grinding screech of like metalwork. The gate itself seems to creak. However, it doesn't seem to move. Within maybe another like 10 seconds or so, you hear another like metallic crank coming from around where like the left tower is, and a similar sounding mechanism starts to move, and the gate begins to open. You reason perhaps that this was a double like lever gate where you needed like both sides to open up the this gate.
That makes sense. Noel-chan can't wait to come meet me. We will have the most beautiful of reunions. Okay, I will attempt to descend then our dilapidated ladder.
All right. This time you've completely you completely snapped the ladder off of like the railing. It's basically unusable now. And since for some reason you lean the spear against the ladder on the bottom, you fall and it pierces your shin.
Oh no.
your your right leg is pierced all the way through by the spear and is essentially unusable. I mean, you can probably hobble on it, but it's very, very painful. Man failed ladder school. He passed climbing, but he skipped all the descending class.
Gravity has not been my friend this time.
Gravity hasn't been any of our guests' friends, have they?
I'm looking forward to a future ERP session where we are
Just like tripping over
in
each other.
space and there's no gravity to kill me.
A giant asteroid happens to come by and with its gravitational pull pulls all three of you.
I
Anyway.
can see that.
So yeah, you've pierced yourself with the spear that you've
I've made a kebab of myself, and the other Knoll undoubtedly is coming.
Yes.
Desperate times call for desperate measures. I will... Wait, will this even work? This will undoubtedly not work.
Just
but,
describe what you want to do, and we'll see what.
You know, the more ridiculous, the better. I will attempt to hide in a corner and cover myself with the body of the dead Knoll that I squashed.
Okay, so you basically lift up this like Knoll pancake, and you just you lift up the Knoll pancake, and you basically like hide yourself under it. Knolls are this knoll is like relatively large, so you're relatively convinced that you're basically hidden from view. You hear shuffling at the doorway, and and you hear like you hear some like growling. And you hear like the steps like gradually fade.
All according to Keikaku. Perfect. All right. I will patiently wait for the steps to fully fade, and then re-emerge from the Knoll pancake cloak.
So you wait for like the footsteps to fully fade. You have relatively actually let me see how your senses are. Okay, so you have a relatively sharp hearing, and you can hear that like that Knoll didn't go that far. Like you would presume that it went back to the other tower. Presume that it went back to the other tower, but like you emerged from the pancake well before that other Knoll reaches the tower, but well out of like earshot essentially.
Okay.
You also reason that the this Knoll is probably gonna try to close the gate, and he will probably be suspicious if the gate doesn't move. Well, actually, no. The Knoll's probably gonna try to close the gate, but it is convinced, or it saw the broken ladder and is probably thinking that the gate probably won't close. But you do know that the Knoll is like back at the other tower.
This is an interesting situation, as I am in a dangerous predicament. One could say a situation that is thicker than a dwarf's beard, and I am injured. I have a hostile, large Knoll that is not the brightest, not the sharpest tool in the shed, but perhaps has a sharp spear. And I will try to shuffle my way at least onto the other side of the gate if possible. I might. Oh, actually, you know what? Let's worry about the spear first. Conventional wisdom tells me, upon injury, I should not pull this out of my body. But I don't know if there's any conventional wisdom in our fantasy world. So I will. Do I have anything for first aid on me? Am I able to? Do I have any like spare cloth or something?
Well, you have the dead Knoll's like pants, essentially.
God, that is an infection waiting to happen. But you know what? Desperate times call for desperate measures. Let's disrobe the Knoll.
You can also use your own clothing if you'd like as well.
No, that's okay.
Okay. you
Let's disrobe the knoll.
All right, so you gently slide the pants off of the dead, like, flattened knoll, and it is relatively clean. There's no obvious signs of any sort of soiling or of any sort.
This
and
one's been potty trained. Excellent.
you you tear off one of the legs, and you seem to, like, recall a relatively decent knowledge in first aid, and you actually pull out the spear, because there's no way you can, like, walk around with a spear, like you can't break the handle either. It's just full iron, like it's just like a full iron handle, full iron tip. So, like, you're not going to be able to, like, break it off either. So you just like pull it out from the handle side, and you basically use the other side of the pants, the knoll pants, to, like, kind of bundle up against the wound, and then you use the other pant leg to, like, essentially like wrap it up as tightly as you possibly can. The bleeding stops. Bleeding stops relatively quickly. You seem to be a relatively sturdy individual. However, you're still, like, you're not going to be able to, like, put a lot of weight on it. You can probably have to, like, limp, or perhaps use some sort of other tool to, like, help you walk.
Now that the spear has been dislodged from my appendage, am I able to use it like a walking stick?
Yeah, you can actually you take. It's actually very sturdy as well, so you can, like, you can just pick it up and, like, use it as essentially a walking stick.
Have I become encumbered in any way? Am I overburdening myself now that I have my pickaxe and my mace, and I've injured my leg? Like, how's my mobility at this point?
I mean, like, your mobility probably wouldn't have changed from the items you're carrying, but rather the giant hole in your leg.
Okay,
so yeah, you would say maybe you have about, like, 10% of your speed from when you were running away from those spiders earlier.
All right, no more running. Violence is the only option now. I will attempt to exit the tower and cross through the gate, approaching the left tower.
Oh, so you're gonna actually approach the left tower? Okay.
Yeah, violence is the only option.
Okay. All right, so the pain in your leg kind of sears as you like step through the gate, and you trip and you fall. No real injuries, but just, like, you make a lot of noise as you fall onto the gravel. The knoll, like, you hear some shuffling inside of the left tower, and the knoll once again the knoll emerges from the tower. However, he doesn't seem to be carrying the spear. And he notices you. You're maybe about, like, 6 feet away from him.
There's no going back. I've killed the other knoll already. I have their blood and their pants on my hands, literally. I will make an attack on this knoll with my spear.
Okay.
If I can.
All right, so upon noticing the knoll's kind of shocked, like, what the heck is this thing? Essentially, that's what it's thinking. But you, quick on your feet, quick on your good foot and your horrendously injured other foot, you spring into action, immediately thrusting the spear with both hands straight into the knoll's throat. The knoll kind of. So what the heck, you do? The knoll kind of, like, gurgles a little bit, blood splurting out of its out of his mouth, and it drops to its, like, reverse bent knoll knees and falls to the ground dead.
Beautiful, all according to Keikaku. All right, perfect. Man, I'm feeling pretty good. You know, other than tripping on rocks and falling off ladders, this is going very swimmingly. And not knowing where I am or who I am, or having a giant hole in my leg. This is going as well as it can go. Let's go ahead and let's survey our surroundings. Do I notice any more gnolls or hear any more gnolls, since I'm apparently acute of hearing?
Why so cruel with the poor sexy dolls? So you kind of like just observe like kind of the surrounding. You notice that essentially like this like seemingly like cavern wall thing is carved out of like is basically carved out of like the cave side. And this rock bridge is just like what seems to be like a natural formation that whoever the inhabitants of this area are has like fashioned into like a road. But aside from the large wall that continues over like the ravine on your left, and just what seems to be like basically endless more chasm on your right, there's not much else aside from like, you know, like a couple of scattered like blue stone torches. You can essentially you can kind of like maybe you can look inside of like the left tower if you wish. You can also just proceed down the rock bridge, or you can just choose to go back. But there's no way towards the right, like further down the cavern on this side of the wall.
Okay. I am injured. I will hobble over to the left tower and take a perusal.
Okay, so inside the left tower, you see a very similar situation to like the right tower. There's just it's mostly an empty room. This room has like a small stool, like a small like rock stool, but also basically bare bones nothing. The spear that the gnoll left behind against the wall, and as well a ladder going up to a second floor.
Yeah, I'm not climbing any more ladders. I will exit the tower and go down the left side. Is that correct? Yeah, the left side.
So wait, what part? Oh, what area are you trying to go to right now?
Left side down the path.
Oh, so like continuing along the rock bridge.
Yes, the rock bridge. Yes.
Okay. So you start walking towards into the darkness, or limping rather. You start limping into the darkness.
I limp into the abyss.
You basically move closer into like you move further into like the darkness, and as the blue glow behind you starts to fade, your eyes start adjusting to like the path in front of you. The path essentially it seems to be this long winding, relatively winding like path, going slightly uphill, and as you continue along it, you start feeling that like the area is getting much warmer. You start seeing sulfur vents, and like maybe like bits of even like pools of magma as you are approaching like this new area. Hello?
Hello? Yeah, sorry.
Oh.
I was about to say I love the smell of sulfur in the morning, and I'm
you take a deep whiff of the sulfur, and
delicious.
you pass out for an unknown amount of time, waking up once again. Waking up once again after waking up after like maybe you can't tell how long has passed, but you wake up a bit of time later, wondering why you took a big whiff of sulfur for no reason.
No, some dwarves are just built a little different. I will take a moment to rest and inspect the map.
Okay, so you pull up the map, and you see that the blue path is leading once again, basically down the path that you're continuing in. You notice that there's essentially no other like corridors or whatever. It's just basically, despite like it being a winding path, like it's essentially just going like one direction or the other. one forward, one going back to where you came. No other discernible like objects like yellow dots or anything on the map. Just a little eggplant icon and a blue path leading you forward. The parchment does seem to be colored slightly, and it seems to correlate like pools of magma with like blotches of red.
Ooh. Okay. I will put away the map and continue down the path then.
Okay. Give me like 2 minutes. I need to use the little Peen room. I will be.
Sounds good.
I will be right back. Keep my chat entertained, and chat keep Madman entertained. I'll be right back.
Hello, chat. This is my stream now. Not gonna lie, if I were not injured and I had ended those gnolls without spearing my leg on the spear, I would have repositioned the gnolls, their dead bodies together so they could be just happy, handsome, one flat, one 3D gnolls in the afterlife. But unfortunately, I feared what low rolls would have happened if I attempted that in my crippled state. Yes, I do feel bad for the gnolls, as I have no preconceived notions for the gnolls. Apparently they are just as wonderful and loving of creatures to me as the eggplant fairy Glasso. Dunsalot, I feel threatened by your big head. You know, this is a common occurrence with me. I have a very big head, and many people find it intimidating. But it is kind of a disability. You want to buy a hat, for example, and really they'll say one size fits all, but then you very rapidly realize that you're not part of all. This hat just does not fit you. It's like one of those little toy hats you see the idols that clip to their heads instead of a regular hat that actually goes on your head. I know it's a horrible disability.
I see they're talking about how big your head is compared here. Oh. Anyway, yes, I am back. So you're gonna.
Hi, back.
Hello, Dad. So you're essentially gonna be continuing down the path, right?
Yes. Onward on this grand limping adventure. I have no choice. I feel like my character's in such a bad state. I have no memory. I'm lost in this magma-filled land of gnolls and dilapidated abandoned buildings, and I'm just trying to survive.
That was quick.
How much time has passed roughly if I have an internal clock of sorts?
You don't, because you sniffed sulfur and you just passed out alongside the road.
I just don't know.
And
who knows?
I did wash my hands. My bathroom is literally like 2 steps away from my bedroom, so I emptied my bladder and I washed my hands. So you continue limping down the path. And as you're coming up around a corner, you start hearing shuffling and growling, approaching like the corner of the path.
Oh goodness! What are my surroundings look like? This corner, is it that wall? Is that the corner?
Yeah. So essentially, like it's not so much a wall, but rather just like a little bit of a hill. And like you can't exactly see around this corner because like the hill kind of like obscures your vision, but you definitely hear something. You hear something approaching, very similar in terms of like gait, I suppose, as what you heard from the other gnoll before. And no, you didn't listen because I'd made sure to mute.
I will. That will be a future redeem. Just kidding. I will look around my premises since I am really unable to escape due to my horrific leg injury. This is very relatable. And I will look around the area, see if there's anything I can hide behind, from the approaching sound.
Okay, so you actually you do notice that there are like the area around you is relatively like rocky, so you could probably try to squeeze yourself into maybe like some of the rocks and be relatively like obscured from view. You could also try. There's also like a relatively large sulfur vent that you could probably hide yourself in, although it would be very uncomfortable and warm, and possibly you might pass out again.
You know, I think I've had enough sulfur one day. I will try to hide it behind a rock / and or mimic a rock with my short short shape. Short stature.
What do you do with your spear?
Oh, that is an excellent question. Can I toss it in the vent? The large one that was mentioned earlier?
Okay. So you put it, you try to slide your spear into the vent, but it's a lot deeper than you expect it to be, and it just completely like it like completely like slips, and like it slips out of your hand, falls down this sulfur like vent, and it just like you don't hear it, you don't hear anything for maybe like a few seconds, then you hear a clang like after a good amount of time, indicating the depth of this hole. So you no longer have your spear.
I'm really glad I didn't jump in there. Thank you, Spear. You took the fall for me. Well, that solves the problem of the spear.
All right, so
I will proceed to hide myself not in the vent.
All right, so
Spear, my beloved.
You place yourself prone against like some of the rocky outcrops, and you do have like a little bit of you do have a little bit of like view to see like what's happening, like and essentially it's a party of gnolls walking towards the direction that you came from. They seem to be like on patrol, relatively disorganized. They're not like moving in any sort of formation. There's just like a bunch of them, just like very similarly dressed to the ones in the towers, and just like walking towards like the path at which you came. Quickly roll some things. Okay. One of the gnolls is like, huh? And looks over and sees a blue glow coming from the outcrop, which is the blue stone that you have strapped to your helmet.
Things were going so well until that last gnoll. Curses.
The other gnolls seem to like stop in their tracks, and they don't seem to follow him, but they just like are watching as this gnoll is rapidly approaching you, trying to observe what this blue glow might be.
All right, time to test my gnollology, and I will attempt to make what is the finest word for this? I will attempt to make disarming, kind gnoll sounds.
You go like and the gnoll looks at you, is like, dwarf. The other gnolls go, huh? And they start like rushing over to to you where you are, where this gnoll is.
That's gnoll for I'm a dwarf hiding behind this rock. I am in quite the predicament. Am I able to see how many there are?
There are 5. Idea? There are 5 gnolls in this party.
I am in deep doo-doo. I will soil myself if if these pants are not yet soiled.
All right, you successfully do so.
Oh, perfect. The pungent smell will repel them. I know it's.
One of the gnolls, see, the gnoll closest to you seems to be especially disturbed by. Okay, the one of the gnolls, and as well as the one of the approaching, seem particularly disturbed by your rank excrement, and they seem to stumble backwards a little bit. But the other three are approaching you, just kind of like weirded out, but they're still like approaching you.
Okay. I feel like my I'm trying to reach into the depth of my geography knowledge. What is the layout of the area again? I'm trying to get a.
So right now it's a little bit like hilly. It's like a hilled path going down towards where you came from. You're going essentially this like going uphill. There's a couple of magma pools around. And like the sulfur vent basically to your right. If I want to give you a more like detailed, like essentially you're on the, if you were like heading back towards where you came, you're on the left side of the path. The gnolls are approaching you from the front, and there is a magma pool like a little bit behind them downhill, and one also behind you.
Wow, I'm stuck between a party of gnolls and.
There is space to your right to move if you wish. But remember your leg is like not, injured.
Yeah, I've taken an arrow to the knee. I was once an adventurer like you, and now I'm just.
Now I fell onto my own spear that I set up. You think I would have learned by the first time me falling off the ladder, but no. I specifically placed a spear underneath.
No risk, no reward.
Exactly.
And I'm not quite sure what the reward in this situation would have been, but apparently it is skewering myself. I will. Let's see. I have my soiled pants. I have a mace and a dagger. Okay. Then, what I do is, I will, as quickly as I can, attempt to toss my soiled pants at the closest gnoll. Desperate times call for desperate measures.
So you know that GIF of like the guy just like ripping his pants off like without even like from the front, right? Like just you hop to your essentially you hop to your feet and you like rip your pants off from the front, like tearing the seams on the side, like covered in your like excrement and urine. You toss it in front of you onto like the closest gnoll. That gnoll like kind of freaks out. And actually stumbles backwards, rolling all the way into the magma pool and like burning and melting to death.
Beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, you're now fully exposed, but yeah, you know, it's at least you're not like covered in your soiled pants anymore.
Yeah, you know, lower chance of infection that way. Okay. So then there are still 3 approaching. Is that correct, or 4 approach? 3. 1 died, and 1 was initially traumatized.
Two are relatively traumatized. So there's basically 2 approaching.
All right, I'm gonna have to take my chances, and I will extract my mace and attempt to clobber the closest gnoll on the head.
Okay, before you do so, one of the gnolls actually, one of the gnolls, approaches you with the spear and stabs you in the arm.
Oh God!
Piercing through your wrist. Not hitting any vitals, but you are injured on your one arm. The other one attempts to do the same, but actually like manages to like get deflected off of your wooden helmet for some reason.
Praise the wooden mining helmet.
You in response grab your mace and you clobber the knoll in front of you with it, breaking its jaw. It stumbles back. It's not quite dead yet, but it's injured enough that it's not an immediate threat.
Perfect. I do not need to kill it. That is okay. Okay, I will attempt to make. Wait, is its spear in my hand or my arm?
It's not so much in your arm, but like he like thrust it into your arm and then pulled it
Ah,
out.
got it. He
But
pulled it. Okay.
when you hit him in the jaw, he dropped the spear in front of you.
Does the other knoll have a spear?
Yes.
Wow, there are a lot of spears here.
So this other knoll actually manages to compose himself and pierce you straight
Oh God.
straight through your shoulder, the same shoulder the same shoulder that you were stabbed in the arm with. So your other arm is still good, but like this is not looking very good for you right now.
Yeah, this is desperate times. I will attempt to make an attack on it with my good arm that's presumably holding the mace.
You
Oh God!
you
I
swing
can see the roll.
you you swing at him with your mace, and like in your pain you actually let go of the mace itself. The mace slips out of your fingers. However, it's almost as if you just threw it, because it goes straight into this knoll's face, essentially just blasting its head off for whatever reason. Like you slipped it so badly, you just completely decapitated this knoll with your thrown mace. However, the mace is now gone. Like it's thrown. You after disintegrating this knoll's face, it falls into the pile. It falls into the magma and it slowly burns away.
This is why Papadorf never wanted to play catch. This is why I'm so bad. All right, I will attempt to pick up one of the spears on the ground and hopefully try to escape. If I'm able to run away from the last two knolls.
Say the last part again.
I will pick up a spear, and because I am injured, I need it like as a crutch. I'll try to escape from the last two. There are still two, I believe.
Yes, there are still two. Okay, so the other two knolls are still kind of like repulsed by your smell, and the one knoll is like the other knoll that you didn't kill but broke its jaw is like kind of like sniffling and crying, like a little baby, like trying to
I feel bad now.
trying to
That's
like
the
get
baby.
no, it's not a baby knoll, but it's crying like a baby knoll, trying to piece back together his broken jaw. You managed to slip, like despite your injuries, you managed to slip pretty cleanly out of the area, continuing up the hill.
Oh God, I love how the gnolls are repulsed by the smell and not the disintegrating head or the burning flesh of their compatriots. All right, I will do my best to continue down the path, despite. Wait. Actually, let me think about this real quick. I have no pants. I still have a shirt. Is this correct?
Yeah, you still have a shirt.
What is my shirt? And you mentioned I had a jacket as well, right?
Yeah, it's like you have like an inside shirt, and then you have like a relatively thick like worker's jacket, kind of like bound in like heavy cloth basically.
Okay. I will attempt to use my inside shirt, which seems to serve no primary function other than to cover me, but I have no pants already, so my dignity is gone. I will attempt to use the inside shirt to bind some injuries on the arm and shoulder that were successfully attacked by the gnolls in the last encounter.
All right, so with your you like with your like first aid knowledge, you do manage to stop the bleeding on both like the hole in your arm as well as your shoulder. The shoulder is a relatively tougher spot to like actually like get a decent like binding over. So you know that maybe perhaps if you strained yourself and if you strained yourself a little bit unsuccessfully in a manner that's unsuccessful, you might reopen that wound.
That sounds prudent. Sounds wise. All right. Gosh, I imagine that I am quite a frightful sight, right? I am covered in soot and dirt, and wearing no pants and just bleeding from my arms and my legs. I imagine myself to be a more frightful sight than the gnolls are themselves. But I will continue down the path, hobbling with my spear. Spear 2, my beloved.
All right, so as you yes, you do seem a little bit like run down. Your beard is like kind of covered in a little bit of blood. Your clothes are much more so. You are freely flowing down there. your little beard down there as well. Luckily, like despite your injury on your leg, you don't have any trouble ascending this hill due to the due to the metal spikes that are present on your First thing I hear is no pants, Sasuga. Yeah, this is ERP. You do manage to be able to climb up the hill like without much struggle because of both your spear that's helping you climb as well as the spiked boots that are helping give you purchase on this like increasingly gravel path. By the way, as you're continuing down, it becomes warmer and warmer. It seems that the frequency of magma pools are starting to increase, and the relative darkness of the cavern is now being overtaken by a bright orange glow, which you presume to be molten rock.
I would like to check if my Glasso map is still there, and if so, I'd like to consult the map briefly to see if it has any insight on my surroundings.
So looking at the map, it actually seems to have expanded quite a bit. Like the eggplant icon is a little bit smaller now. You see in front of you, still continuing along like the blue glowing path on the map, along winding, relatively narrow. You're not exactly sure the scale of it, but a relatively narrow passageway, and surrounded by magma, like on both sides. There are quite a bit of yellow dots inside of the magma. You're not really sure how you would be able to get those. However, there is a after like the winding path, there is another yellow dot on what seems to be like a rock island in the middle of a large ocean of magma.
All right, I am committed. I've been wounded and beaten and have no dignity. I am committed to this treasure. It is all I have left. I will continue down the path.
Okay, so walking your, let's see. First of all,
oh no.
Okay, so despite the perilous nature of the paths and like the bubbling basically lava around you, you actually advance through this winding area with little to no trouble. There was a couple of instances as you pass, like exploding, like popping like magma bubbles that gave you a little bit of a fright. One maybe like singed your like a spark maybe singed your beard a little bit, but nothing that would like give you any sort of injuries whatsoever. You do mourn for like that one piece of your beard that had been burned though.
The big beard or the little beard?
The big beard.
After big beard, okay.
The as you approach like as you were walking, you notice that it is still kind of like going uphill. So the magma is all kind of like flowing downwards. As you approach like the end of the winding path, it becomes a more relatively level area. And at the center of this, like, it's mostly an open area, right? Like a plain flat area, and it kind of like goes downhill on all sides. On the map, it shows maybe like 3 other paths in front of you. And in the center where the yellow dot is denoted on your map is a green it's a green piece of ore or stone, but it's glowing. It's glowing green in the like the exact center, like suspiciously in the center of this floating like rock formation.
Okay, so there are 3 paths, you said, to the center of this rock.
So essentially like basically where you ascended, right, is one of the paths. And then there's in front, like if you ignore the stone in the middle, there's 3 more paths that go downwards, like one right in front, and then there's 2 other ones that go downwards. It's like this is like probably the highest point of this area as far as you can tell.
Got it. Okay. I will approach the stone in my dazed, sulfur-induced craze.
Okay, so as you approach the stone, the closer you get to approaching it, the thoughts of I got a mine start pervading through your head. You subconsciously start like reaching for your pickaxe, but before you shake off the feeling, and you're wondering why did this exactly happen. However, like your inner voice still chants to you, got a mine.
Am I able to perceive what this do I have any new information on what this formation, this green stone, looks like?
So as you approach it, it seems to be emanating like this sinister green glow. And the closer you approach, the stronger the so you kind of like lean forward a little bit, and then you kind of lean back, and like the closer you are to the stone, the stronger these voices inside your head seem to like keep chanting, got a mine.
Do I have any other emotions, like other than the chanting voice currently? How's my
no sort of like emotional instability, but rather just kind of like a strong desire to start mining for whatever reason.
Okay. Hey, I am a dwarf. That is what I do. I still have my pickaxe, correct?
Yes.
I will mine.
Okay. Okay, so you actually you take your pickaxe and you swing at this stone, and it within like 3 swings it just shatters into dust. As the stone gets like disintegrated, essentially, the thoughts in your head just suddenly disappear. Like the chanting, the desire to mine just like suddenly go away. Once again, your clarity of thought has returned to you. However, your last swing was a little bit too hard. The pickaxe actually pierces the ground underneath you, and it begins to split the platform in twain. The rumbling of the platform begins to give way to rising lava as both sides of this platform begin to sink. You are standing essentially like in between, like one leg on each platform right now. Like since you were mining like over this, like with mining with proper form, of course, where you're swinging straight down.
Centuries of training.
Yes,
Absolutely.
But yeah, so the platform's starting to separate, and both of them are starting to sink. You have to make a decision whether or not to stay on the path, the side of the rock from the path at which you came, or the path at which like the 3 other paths lead.
Let me try to approach this in a natural fashion, for the sake of the story, I suppose. Which leg is on which platform?
Your good leg is on the left platform, leading to the 3 paths.
I'm trying to think then. Naturally, would I be able to? I would probably attempt to favor that then, and I will attempt to go on the 3 paths then.
Okay. Let me just quickly roll a couple things.
Oh no.
Okay, so you do successfully make it over to like the to the side with your good leg. As you do so, you see the other side sink completely into the lava. You manage to scramble to a safe place onto the platform, and as you approach one of the 3 paths, the lava the whole cavern begins to rumble. You it's not just like a little bit of a rumbling. It's like straight up like perhaps like a 7 at least on some imaginary future earthquake scale.
Yes.
And you basically hold on to dear life as the platform underneath you suddenly begins to elevate violently from like what you determine to be a volcanic eruption.
My dwarven expertise tells me it's a 7 on the Moradin scale right here. Not to be underestimated. This kind of volcanic eruption.
Yeah. So
okay. Can I sort of frantically look around my surroundings and try to assess if there are any. Wait, the platform is rising upward. I am on a rising platform of lava, magma.
Yes.
Wait.
So it's rapidly elevating. You're like essentially like if you look upwards and you see it's basically just like a completely like vertical column of like empty darkness. If you had observed maybe like some of the walls, you might, or you see it now, but you see that this area has been maybe frequently subject in the past to volcanic eruption, just by the appearance of like obsidian like against the walls. As you're elevating, there seem to be like tunnels that you can perhaps attempt to jump off into, but you don't know whether or not they will also fill with magma, or if you should rather just stay on this platform to see where it takes you.
Yeah, I am. Honestly, if I am injured, I don't believe I'm in any shape to jump off the platform. I think I will sort of just, in my post-mining clarity, just gonna hold on to the platform as best I can and see how far it goes.
Okay, so let's see if you. Okay, so you hold on to like the platform, and despite a couple of, so it's not like uniformly elevating, right? It's like kind of like violently shaking as it's coming up. You get tumbled around, but you manage to stay on the platform. As you're elevating,
This is like some kind of terrible elevator nightmare.
as you're elevating, you start to the ceiling in front, like on top of you, right, where you're heading towards, begins to gradually become brighter and brighter. You are and then right as the bright sunlight basically completely blinds you, the platform on which you are currently on gets ejected out in a column of bright magma into a valley side where like it's completely bright. You have a hard time like kind of adjusting to like it's what is now the outside. You are now above ground. It is bright. Is bright midday. You are falling on this platform, but you manage to stay on top of it. And
This is truly like some kind of like nightmare if you think about it. Your arm is injured, your leg is injured, like you're sleeping on them funny, and they become like paralyzed in your sleep, and you're naked, and you're in a dark private place, but then you were ejected into the light. This is this is truly the stuff of nightmares.
So what after what seems to be an eternity of falling, you actually like you actually are no longer able to like keep your grip on this rock. You're now like separated from it, and you get thrown straight into water. In your confusion.
Can I swim?
And you swim. Yes, you're able to swim despite the blade, despite the spear, despite your injuries and your iron boots. You're able to like swim. You find immediately like your sense of gravity and start swimming upwards towards the surface. And you bring yourself up against the surface, and you find yourself actually in a not too far from shore, but you're basically in a large lake.
Okay, I will proceed if I can to the nearest solid ground.
So you swim towards the shoreline, and you observe this bright column of lava being flown upwards into the air. The sky is rapidly darkening from the ashes and the smoke billowing from this volcanic eruption. However, you manage to make it out of the water before more molten rock hits the water and start boiling the fish alive.
Delicious fish. Do I have any sense of I guess post my drug trip on sulfur, do I have any sense of how much time has passed?
Since that, it's maybe been about an hour. The most amount of time you've taken. Well, you're not really sure how long it took for you to come out from the volcano, but you do know by the. You do like estimate by like how fast like the eruption is still happening that you probably came out within 2-3 minutes at most, but the most of your time was spent kind of like hobbling your way towards that platform.
That makes sense. Okay. If I look around my surroundings, am I just in like a forest, or what do I see?
So
have my eyes adjusted yet to the surface?
Yeah, so you kind of like rub your eyes a little bit, and you see that you're kind of like against, like you're kind of like on a like not so much like a sand sort of beach, but more like a muddy area. But it does lead into like a forest. If you look down the shoreline, like behind you seems to be this large a large town in the distance, a large port city perhaps. You see ships in the very small ships in the far distance, and in front of you is the erupting volcano.
Okay. Wow. I am like a pig in mud. That is not a good image. I will imagine myself more like
Boing,
Gilgamesh rising from the mud at the end of is it Unlimited Blade Works or is it Fate Stay? I don't even remember. One of them. It's more regal that way.
Instead of being topless, you're bottomless.
Yes. No, it is. It's just more sexy that way. I will hobble towards the town, away from the volcano.
So the volcano continues to erupt, and now the daylight sky has been completely obscured by the plumes of ash that got shot up in there. The ash has come to the point where has begun falling from the sky. So yeah, you're basically walking in like an ash storm now. It's like It looks like snow, but it's just ash. Luckily,
I know this well, actually. This is California during the fire season.
oof. Yeah, I mean, essentially that's what's happening. You're getting like your beard and your little beard is getting caked in ash as you're like hobbling your way towards the town. As you are starting to approach the town, you notice that like essentially the town is in total chaos. Everyone is freaking out about the volcanic eruption. Everyone's panicking. Everyone's grabbing like what they can and starting to run on the main road towards like the opposite direction, basically from where the volcano is. And
so they are running away from me, correct? Because I'm coming from the direction of the volcano.
well, looking behind you, you see that the molten rock is actually like not too far behind you. Like you're still kind of outpacing it a little bit, but it is like making its way towards this town.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I will, as fast as I can hobble, continue towards the town then.
All right, so
if people are scrambling and running away, this is my chance to get some pants again. This is the shot I have to take.
All right, so you are now fully in the town, and due to your short stature, like many of the people, which you now see are humans, but mostly like humanoid creatures, like humans, elves. They're like running around. They basically don't notice you at all. One of them actually trips over you. You take a fall with them, and the man snaps at you like, watch where you're going. Can't you see there's lava coming around? And he like starts to get himself up. Do you want to say anything in response or do anything in response before he starts to like just like leave you on the wayside?
Yes, I do. But first, let me tell you my mental state at this point.
Okay.
When you said that I tripped and someone fell over me, I was totally expecting one of those lucky protagonist moments. Only the person tripping over me is the lucky protagonist, and I'm just this beautiful dwarf, bottomless dwarf.
His hand, like his one hand on each of your cheeks, as
exactly.
No. He actually was the one who tripped over you because he didn't see in his panic, and you just tumbled with him because you didn't have like any sort of you didn't have any sort of balance.
I'm also been speared through multiple times.
Yes.
I would like to ask him where I am in my delirious, burnt, singed state. Ask him for the name. Good sir. Where am I? What is the name of this settlement?
Doesn't matter what name the settlement has. It's about to get buried and burned alive.
And I suppose he runs off then.
Yeah, he's like, if I do yourself a favor and get out of here as soon as you can, and starts like running off again.
Oh, what race was he, if I may ask?
He was human.
Human. Okay, perfect. I will pick myself up and look for the nearest house. Something that looks like people live in it.
Okay, so there's a house right next to you.
Okay.
There's a house right next to you, and it seems to have been abandoned very quickly. Like the door was flung wide open. Like there was still food on the table. But like you see that most of the stuff has been kind of like swept up. And like you see a little bit of remnants of like clothing around the doorstep, like presumably dropped as in a hurry as they were bringing this stuff away.
Perfect. I look for clothing that perhaps would fit. I don't know if I am the size of the residence. Perhaps the madam of the household was a bit rotund and would have something that would fit me, or if there's any like bed sheets or anything I could eventually fashion as clothing.
Yeah. So you look around and you find that there's not that many articles of clothing, you do find a very elegant dress.
Yes.
Okay, Loop. I made that up on my own, but yes, yeah. The only thing that left in the house that fits him is a very elegant dress.
Beautiful. It allows for better airflow for the eggplants. You know.
So yeah, the same brain cell. Yeah, for real. So it is an elegant dress. You fit yourself into it. There's no undergarments of whatever kind. So it's still kind of your little beard and your other thing is just like kind of flowing around under there. But at the very least, like no one can tell just by like looking at you that you're not wearing anything underneath.
After this arduous journey, one can truly say I've had the training of a commando, so to speak. Okay, I will try to don the clothing as quickly as I can, and then proceed to go through the town, sort of follow the crowds away from the lava.
Okay, the dress also has a whoever owned this dress was like particularly promiscuous because the has a very low cut V front. So like especially considering your height, the height is a little bit like too long for you. So you kind of so essentially what it looks like, you kind of like roll it up around like the waist. So it essentially just covers like your left and right pectoral muscles. However, like the entire V goes all the way down to your navel. So your whole navel is exposed, along with your magnificent chest hair. And
I imagine this to be. Are you familiar with Borat's swimsuit?
Yes. But it's like a dress underneath.
It's a dress.
And you have your jacket still, so it just looks like you have a very exposed chest.
I'm just a crazed, half-naked, dress-wearing dwarf. Let's do it.
So looking.
That is.
Yeah. You continue through the town and you see you notice that like many of the town have already like left. There's still a couple of stragglers left behind. The lava is now like well into the limits of the town. The houses at the outskirts, like closest to where the volcano was, is now starting to burn. You hear someone shout, "We need to make our way down the road. There's no way the lava will get to Garden Alley." So yeah, like what else would you like to do in this town as it's being
while I'm in the
consumed
town? Yeah, do I have a good sense of how much distance between me and lava is currently? Like 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
At the current pace, yeah, the lava's crawling. And remember, like the houses are also catching on fire. So like you estimate that probably you have about max 10 minutes, and then really, if you really want to push it, like 15.
Okay. I will continue following the crowds and the people, but I will keep a lookout to see if I pass. Wait, I just had in my newly dressed clarity. I will reach into my pocket briefly, pull out my map if it is still there. Can I check for it in my jacket?
Yeah. So you check your map, and it magically like re-sketches like the entirety of it, showing like the layout of this town as well as the approaching magma. The blue line curiously actually continues like not exactly in front of you, but like maybe towards like if you were like facing directly away from the approaching magma, maybe like a little bit diagonally to the left.
Very interesting.
Yeah, you presume that perhaps whatever that was that it was tracking from to begin with has been ejected also through the eruption.
Ooh, okay. I will try to follow then the map through the crowds of fleeing, screaming people.
Okay.
Let me also keep an eye out if I pass like a bakery or something. I can grab a crust of bread, as I am concerned that I just kind of woke up in a daze mining an abandoned mine shaft.
So as you walk by, you walk by like the town square essentially, and there are like a lot of like abandoned fruit stalls as well as like other vegetables, like you can you basically just grab. Is there anything in particular you want to grab on your way?
Do I have any particular knowledge of what is like edible raw?
Let's take a look. Um, you you think you can mostly eat most of this stuff raw?
Okay. I will grab. Visually, what is there for me to? Maybe a little choice in.
Okay, so like on your left is like like an abandoned fruit stall, like it recently abandoned. There's like a bunch of like apples, a bunch of apples, a bunch of like oranges, and as well as what you assume to be maybe limes. There a lot of them are squished in the panic, but there are a couple that are still intact. On your right, there's another stall that is full of cabbages and eggplants.
Nah, no, I'm not about those eggplants. I will go for the oranges because, and I will grab an orange, and as I'm hobbling with the crowd, just eat it with the skin on. Because when do you ever just get to bite into an orange, but for a chaotic emergency event where lava's destroying a city? No one's gonna judge you in this moment.
Do it for the ERP. So you in your head you say, all right, let me press W real quick. You you eat like a pile of oranges, all in one gulp. All in one gulp. And for whatever reason, these oranges seem to give you like some sort of magical healing properties. It gives like perhaps it is the like the fact that you just haven't eaten in who knows how long, but like the sudden rush of like nutrients and energy seems to heal your leg. At to which point you can at least put like weight on it to be able to like move normally now.
This reminds me, if like, have you ever played like Elder Scrolls and stuff? Those games.
I have.
It's like you're fighting the dragon and you're injured, and all that's left in your inventory is like 86 wheels of cheese, and you're just shoving down the cheese to heal what little HP you can get from them. This is my mind's eye. What is occurring?
I also like that, like when you go into your inventory, things like pause. So like the whole time stopped, and you're just like, oh, like shoving
Eating
in like.
is instant. Eating takes no time.
Yeah. Like you're.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, like you're able to, you're now able to Murlocs. You're now able to move normally after consuming some citrus fruits.
That is truly remarkable. Perhaps I had scurvy or some other affliction before that is now cured. Okay, I will continue then. No longer hobbling, but walking happily in my dress towards the direction of the blue line according to the map, and I suppose it's somewhat parallel to the direction everyone else is running anyways.
It's like maybe about like a 45-degree angle off of like where the main road at which you can perceive rather. You continue following the blue line, and it starts going into like a thicket of forest. The blue line actually begins to glow a little bit brighter as you start approaching. As you start approaching like the forest, you notice that it is ablaze, possibly from the ejection of like whatever from the lava. It is on fire. Not so much that you probably can't like maneuver your way around it, but it is a little bit more perilous than just a normal calm woods.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, I will try to skirt the outskirts a little bit of the fire if I can, but sort of move in the same general direction as the map is sort of indicating.
Okay.
I'm waiting for the roll to just burn me alive.
As you're approaching, as you're like continuing towards the flames, it gets like hotter and hotter, right? The one tree actually falls. One tree actually falls and it knocks you off your feet. Like it doesn't like fall right on top of you, but it like falls onto the ground, shaking it enough that you like get knocked back on your feet. The off of your feet rather. The flames like are now like truly engulfing like the shrubbery in front of you, which is like directly where the map is indicating that you should be going. You have a choice of either trying to continue through the flames, or you can maybe try like going around.
Do I have a good sense of whether it is just the immediate shrubbery in front of me that's on fire, or is there more depth to the fire, or is it just like the smoke and everything is so chaotic? I don't really have a good sense of it.
So you observe closer like the shrubbery in front of you, and yeah, so basically it's a large tree that has been like completely lit ablaze. Which the thickness of the tree is about like 3 feet wide in diameter, so you'd have to like climb it first of all, which would present a lot of danger to yourself because you need to like basically fully embrace this burning log in order to climb up. And on top of that, the shrubbery behind it was relatively dry, so when the tree had fallen onto it, it like caught the whole thing ablaze. So you would imagine you would have to like maybe like at best case scenario, you could probably like, if you like find a way to jump onto it, you could maybe clear the other side if there's nothing else on fire immediately behind the shrubs.
I will have to go around. You know, I just acquired this new beautiful dress. I'm not ruining it.
That's the most important part. You gotta stay fashionable for when you find the treasure. So you can go left or right. If you going to the left is a little bit going a little bit closer towards like going a little bit closer towards the lava. Going to the right is going a little bit closer towards like the main road. But you notice also that the lava has largely stopped. It's still like flowing, but at a much slower pace.
Sorry, okay. So the lava at this distance from the eruption has slowed down its advance. You mentioned to the right, it's a bit more close to the main path. Is that correct?
Yeah, like the main road. You still can see like people in the distance. Like in the distance in the clearing, there's like you see like a large swath of people like following along the path like in hurried panic.
You know, I think I will take the left path closer to the lava. I need to get to this, whatever it is, and I'm not gonna let those people stop me.
Okay. So as you move towards the left side, there's a lot more blaze and fire around this area. However, your map indicates that it is like slightly closer. It is slightly closer. You start moving further in towards the forest, and it's like basically every piece of like greenery is on fire at this point. Your beard is like getting tinged or singed from like the random embers that surround you. But you approach like a what seems to be like a crash site, and a glowing blue, a big glowing like blue like piece of something that you can't really make out right now in terms of like because of like the blaze.
How in danger do I feel presently? If I look around me, how much fire? And you mentioned things are sort of singeing the beard a little bit.
So you're like standing in a spot, and there's like spots that you can stand that you're not immediately gonna be like like touching the flames or whatnot, but you are very close to a lot of like the blaze, and you can almost feel like your skin kind of blistering from like the heat.
That's no bueno. Okay. What is what is between me and the blue glow, the mysterious blue glow?
It's essentially like a pile, basically a pile of uh, like burning essentially this looks like the impact site, right? So the area surrounding this blue glowing object is like essentially just charred wood and shrubbery and dirt, and a lot of it is still like a glow, right, from the impact and from like the lava that probably came along with it. Like you could probably step on this okay, but if you fall, you will be burned pretty badly.
I was about to say, I still have my spear. Is that right?
Yes, you do. You're no longer leaning on it either, since you're able to walk normally.
I'm able. Yeah. Can I use the spear to sort of poke or prod away burning material and try to sort of make my way towards it?
Okay, so like through your deft use of the spear, you manage to basically chop away like pieces of burning shrub, like basically turn over any sort of burning logs and move it out of your way. You upon approach to this blue object, it seems to be a large box, like a really ornate, suspiciously intact box, like that's just emanating blue.
I knew those years of Dwarven lawnmower simulator would have paid off Weed Whacker simulator for this exact moment in my life. Okay, I will approach the blue box. I will kind of approach it and then hover perhaps my hand near it to see if it feels any hotter or more dangerous than, well, any other box ejected from a volcanic eruption and landed in the middle of a burning forest.
When you like approach when you like put your hand like over like the box, like just kind of like feeling the area around it, it actually feels cool. Like it feels much cooler than the surrounding like blaze around you. To the point where you're basically able to like pick it up without it, like it actually just feels cool to the touch.
Yes.
So
I pick it up.
So as
head empty, no thoughts.
As you pick it up, you hear like a glowing, this glowing object like click a little bit, like some sort of inner mechanism is clicking. It opens in like this like big like cloud of like a big cloud of like cold air. It's actually so cold. It doesn't like hurt you directly, but it basically like expands outwards in this long essentially explosion of like cold air, and it immediately like puts out the blaze around you, like in your surrounding area. In the remnants of this cold cloud, you find a small silver ring with a glowing eggplant shaped gem like resting on top of it.
Ooh. This is the treasure that Glasso was directing me towards. I definitely pick up the ring. Would it have a sufficient size to fit on any of my fingers?
So it looks relatively bigger, relatively smaller rather for your fingers. However, as you hold it against your finger, it seems to expand. It seems to expand and wrap itself against your finger, like very snugly. The precious.
I know. Hey, I've literally almost died trying. I put on the ring. Yes.
Okay.
Head empty, no thoughts.
So
this is what I've been dying for. This journey.
So your mind is suddenly filled with the with like a perception of, with like visions of frost. Your like in your head, like mountains of snow and like giant glaciers, just like the visions of mountains of snow and giant glaciers like pervade your vision. You've acquired a ring of frost.
Is it like those fever dreams where you're just like rapidly images are flashing before you?
Yeah, more or less. More or less. You inadvertently like kind of like wave your hands a little bit from shock, and out from your hands like ejects like a wave of cold that is instantly freezes like a whole swath of area in front of you.
This is a moment. Like unlimited power.
Unlimited power.
I know.
So yeah, you've acquired this magical, powerful item, and in expending such like power, your eyes and your vision fade to black, and you fall asleep, and that is going to be the end of today's ERP session. Madman is now a frost dwarf. And then
in a dress.
In a
very
dress.
beautiful dress.
In a dress. In a dress.
Very low cut dress.
So yeah, I mean like there's a little bit of like lore stuff that I like had thought up of that you didn't really end up getting to. Just the whole like mystery surrounding, I guess, the why you were mining in the first place, right?
Yeah, I guess yeah. Are you gonna divulge it now?
Yeah, I can talk about it since I don't think we're gonna
Let's
get
talk
back
about
to
it,
it
yeah.
at any point. Because basically, what was happening is some sort of like evil presence was using like these green stones to basically mind control the dwarven population. The fact was that like I mean, you might have found this out, but like essentially what happened was like if you didn't like completely obliterate the stone, you would have seen that it was like very old, and it seemed to be chipped off from like a larger piece of the stone. You were probably left behind by a mass migration of mind control dwarves.
Got it.
And like that stone was like the stone that was like controlling, I guess, you. It was left behind, so you were left behind, like continuously mining for basically nobody.
Ah, interesting. That is very. So the city I found was indeed the city of my specific people, not just people like me.
Yes, that sense of familiarity that you felt was like your was like just the fact that you can like you kind of recognized it as like your hometown, but like your mind fog was so heavy you couldn't really see it.
That is really interesting. I like that. Wow.
I don't know exactly where I would have taken it from there, but like, you know, but like, I figured it would be funny if like you like whatever that like one piece of rock was there for would just like eject you out into like the main world, which you might recognize being the same the port city that was like that was present in both the previous and the first and the previous ERP sessions with Toter and Trueno. Was it chat's fault or Madman's fault for taking different decisions than expected? Like essentially the turning point of it was just how long it took us to get to like that area with the green stone, and how horrendously spectacularly Madman failed at trying to mine the stone. He actually destroyed the stability of the volcano.
Wow. Okay. So I was gonna ask, was there a planned different outcome?
I mean, I wouldn't say I didn't exactly plan like an outcome whatsoever. I was like thinking like, okay, I should probably like get to like the climax around this point in time, because we were like approaching 2 hours, and I was like,
We were.
Yeah, so I was like, like we're at this point. Like if I continue to try to have him solve the mystery of his people, we would probably go on to your actual hard limit of 4 hours. So I was thinking it'd be easier if I like just brought you out into the overworld, had you find this treasure, and then perhaps one day, I was talking about this with Madman before, but one day when I have enough like players kind of like come on stream and like flesh out this universe essentially, because you'll notice that through all the ERP streams, it's kind of in like the same universe. This garden alley has been like this area that's been around like all 3 sessions so far. Hoping to grab maybe a couple of people and do like a group session.
I find
Google's
that really
fault got
interesting.
it.
I think part of it is I think I sort of embodied the character, perhaps a little different than intended, because I kind of just came out of this daze, right?
Yeah.
And then an eggplant fairy appears out of nowhere to give me a map. And my character is pretty much then in my head canon. He just gets like worse and worse off from like injury and all this madness, and he just like completely loses like any sense of like rational thought and just brainlessly pursues this treasure.
Yeah, so yeah, usually when I have like these sort of sessions, especially since like, you know, like character creation, like the start of your parties in like most tabletop RPGs, it's like there's like a process to it. It takes a while. So what I usually do for these kind of sessions, especially like I try to make them like one shots, that might continue, we don't know, but like to make it like not so like boring, right? Like, because you know, like whenever we do like character creations, it's like interesting for like the player, but not so much for like people observing, right? It's like I have this thing where basically people just start like either waking up in a daze, memory lost, like completely hungover, has no idea, there's no remembrance, has no memory of like basically anything that happened before. Would they need to make new characters to play in a group? No, not necessarily. No one has died, right? So like Treno last episode, he was taken away, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's dead, right? So there are possible ways that I can kind of bullshit. I mean, this whole thing is just like made up as we go mostly. So like I can easily concoct some random ass narrative to like wrap everybody together in something, you know? So hey Lana, Ness up. Also, Ness up everybody that I haven't said Ness up to, but I didn't really want to break up the flow of the thing. But now they're here in the end. Ness up Surfenny, thanks. But yeah, yeah. So like, is there anything else that you were wondering about, like basically what happened here in today's session, Madman?
I was kind of curious how the audience interjection of the fairy, did that alter anything intended?
So I wasn't really gonna have any sort of other NPCs like just be in like this thing. I wanted to be like this cold, lonely experience, like where you're. I mean, like I guess with like the gnolls, of course, but like it just be like you on your own. Because like last time I had like a whole party of like NPCs. So this time I wanted to keep it more like a solo adventure kind of deal. But like it doesn't like I had to like come up with a random thing to like for you to pursue, like based on what you chose. 'Cause like he basically said like a weapon, a what else was it, like a map to treasure, and a hiking tools or whatever, right?
Yeah, adventuring equipment, yeah.
Yeah, so like it really depended on what you chose, and I had to just kind of like come up with something like that you could kind of like work your way towards. Originally I had like, and when I first thought of this treasure, I just thought of like, oh, maybe like bringing you to like this area that perhaps like would have told you like what might have happened to your people, but like now, and that was like once you got ejected, I was like, okay, maybe we should like have you get something else. Everything kind of like goes on the fly.
Yeah.
So,
I imagine so. And I think the ring is quite interesting because it gives you a good stopping point, since I am in a burning forest anyways.
Yeah.
It lets me pass out without being roasted alive in my brand new dress.
Some characters seem to be on opposite sides. How are you gonna bullshit that? Yeah, well, I mean, you know, like, you know how we never like go into the detail of how characters get wherever, right? So, you know, like they could just, you know, like wake up the next session all together for whatever reason. I don't know. I mean, if I could, like, it really depends. I haven't even planned any sort of like group thing yet. And like I could think of like a couple of scenarios where like maybe like a player doesn't want to play the character they played when they first played, in which case we can just give them a new character. It really depends on what everyone feels like. But I imagine Madman will want to keep playing his dressed dwarf because he seems a little bit attached.
I am invested in this character now. It's also funny you mentioned that you were planning this as sort of this like this lonely experience where my companion is only the madness in my head, because I was I think the greatest thing I had some. I don't know if anxiety is the right word. Wait, I'm actually wearing my anxiety shirt right now. All right, I guess I'll use the word anxiety. My greatest anxiety of this was actually dialogue, right? I was concerned about time, so I actually compiled a list of clutch words I could like fall on, because I had like so much anxiety about talking to NPCs. But I'm kind of glad it never actually got to that.
I mean, here's the thing about like NPCs. It's like we don't necessarily have to like converse in the way like normal people would, right? Like, yeah, maybe I'll have like a guard come up to you and be like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And then you can just say like, nothing. And then if you like, depending on what your role is, he'll be like, "Oh, in that case, carry on, I guess."
Like well, my clutch phrases were though like these things to try to. I mean, the whole point of role playing is to sort of get in the character. So I was like, I don't want to just sound like someone from like the modern age. So I like wrote down these crutch phrases in case like I was forced to say something to someone.
Give us an example of something. Like, say.
I mean, I had some really generic ones. Like, for example, I made notes like, hey, you know, if we're talking about time, like short amounts of time, right? Heartbeats would be something to measure short amounts of time with.
That's pretty good.
Or weight would be measured in stones opposed to like pounds or something more modern. I'm a big fan of fantasy books. Do you read any fantasy books?
I don't necessarily read a lot of fantasy. Like I would say like probably like the most reading I do is like the Overlord light novel series, and like that whole world was crafted by a D&D DM whose like friends like all like who became, and all of his friends became like shakaijin, like working adults with like no time to play. So he turned to all of his this is like my 8th time talking about Overlord on stream, but like I fucking love Overlord. But he turned his whole like D&D world into like a light novel or web novel series rather, then that picked up into a light novel, and that's like something that I really enjoy reading. But you know, it's not necessarily like the high fantasy, because it's like somewhat of like an isekai thing. So there's
a little meta there, yeah. But it's really entertaining. There's a new season. The season was the last season, I don't recall already. But there's a new season, right?
Yeah, the new season's airing right now, actually. That's why I've been recently like more obsessed with Overlord, because like it's like relevant again. Normally what'll happen is like I'll get the light novel will release, and then I'll like read it in like a week, and then I'll have like nothing to do with Overlord for like months on end until the next light novel is translated. Or like released and translated, essentially. But like right now it's like a very relevant topic in my
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but for like in terms of just like using like measurements, modern stuff and whatnot, like essentially like, you know, like I like the idea like of like building worlds of like using like fantasy measurements, like or like, you know, historically accurate like measurements like stones and whatnot, you know, to like, because like in this kind of society at this time period they wouldn't have some modern measurements like feet or whatever. But I find that like it'd be a little bit like granular, I guess, in like
it is granular.
So and it'd be
I wouldn't hold them to any specific metric.
Yeah, because then we had like then you have to like explain to like users anyway that like 3 stones is like a pound or something, or, you know, or something like whatever the thing is. So it would be like there'd be kind of no point to it. So I just keep it all like in the measurements, at least the American style measurements that. So
which we have to explain to those of the world anyways.
So for my non-burger audience, you're gonna have to do that. You have to convert that on your own. But at least it's a used enough metric that it's like easily searched up and like whatnot. 10 feet 8. Wait, but what race is feet? I thought you read it in Japanese. No, I don't read in Japanese. It's a like I can, but it's like way too much work. I just want to like I'm here for the story. I'm not here to enhance my Japanese for Overlord.
But yeah, I mean, other than measurements, I held some specific phrases that if in a moment that I needed, they could come up. Like I wrote out candied berries to describe something very desirable, for example. Trying to think what else.
Candied berries. It sounds like
Yeah.
sounds like some sort of like weird like euphemism for malls. Like
Oh yeah, I mean it would be. It'd be like, oh, did you see the beard on that dwarf? That one's a candied berry for sure.
3-meter dwarves. Let's go. Oh my god.
Oh no. I think we have now confused dwarves with giants.
I mean, depending on the scale of the world, right? You know. Because like I always thought about it like so this is this is like a really random ass thing, but like you know, we know the world by the scale of ourselves and like the universe that we live in, right? And like whatever, but like what if there exists like dimensions in which like your average human is actually like 12 feet tall, and it's just like everything is just like your average human now like in this world is like, I wouldn't say 6 foot, it was like 5 foot something, but let's just say for the sake of it, it's like double. Like the whole universe is just like double in size, atoms are doubled in size and whatnot, and like you go to this universe and it's just like you just seem like really small for no reason, right? Like and like everything's just like doubled in size, like everything else is the same, your computer like the same, but like your keyboard is just like twice the size, your like mouse is just like twice the size, but like to those dimensional beings it's like exactly the same, but to us it'll be just like everything's like tinier now.
Wait, is in this hypothetical world, is everything double in size, or only things that involve some kind of like interaction with
every single thing. So like you know, like
okay.
so basically like the reason I say that is because like I know there's like a size limit to like organisms here on our like, you know, reality, our existence. Like, you know, after a certain size, like you know, the weight of things like collapse on itself. That's why like that's why like whales can't exist like on land, because like their organs will literally crush themselves. but like you know, theoretically in a dimension where like everything, like even the earth, even like everything's just doubled in size, like what, like, and we just randomly get transported there. Like, first of all, will we get crushed to death by double gravity? Like it's just like random thoughts that I have about stuff like that. Like, it's just based on like perception, and like dwarves are only dwarves for us, but like what if these double dwarves, like these double dimension dwarves, would be like normal people, I guess, normal stouter people.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. So without any reference point outside of their world, everything in that world looks normal then, because we have no reference that they're twice the size.
Yeah, exactly.
But then if you insert something from our world, then you get the reference point that they're all enormous.
Yeah. I've like
I think large things could exist. It would just require their fundamental build, like what their bones are made of and stuff, to just be that much stronger, like 4 times stronger than what our bones are made of. And I think they would be able to support themselves then at that point. It's just a matter of them being built different. They need to be built different.
3 meter tall. Imagine they're candied berries. God damn. It'd be like candied
Delicious.
grapefruits or some shit at that point.
Candied pomelos.
Oh no. The planet also, yeah, the planet's all. Meters were originally defined relative to planet size, so it'd be crazy to think that using the logic on a different planet would. Yeah, I guess that would be like completely different. The whole thing like would require a lot of like thinking. I think of a smaller planet when the gravity effect wasn't strong as Earth, creatures could be. Yeah, for sure. Like that's why like whale, like I was just saying, like whales can exist, because like in water gravity is like a little bit less profound of a force. Also, randomly tangentially speaking, like you guys know, like I don't know, like okay, like apparently it's commonplace enough that some random person, like some YouTube video I saw like way back when, I think it was Rhett and Link, like talked about this, but basically like, you know how we say that like this little die here on this table is blue, right? But like how do you see blue? Like how do we describe blue other than the fact that it's blue, right? Like what if like I see red when I see blue? Like what if I see your red when I say blue? Like, how would you ever know? And what would it look like if everything were...
It is really funny you bring that up, because I've totally thought about this. And like, yeah, what if my blue is your red, as you mentioned? But ultimately it doesn't make socially a difference as long as we stick to that convention, right? Like my blue could be your anything, your green, your black, and as long as we stick to the convention of we call that color, regardless how we perceive it, as that color, then at the end of the day, all things should function as intended.
Doesn't matter though. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I feel
at
like
all.
scientifically this falls apart a little bit just due to measuring things and wavelengths and stuff like that.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
from,
even
from a purely like mental construction standpoint, as long as you view that as what you view it as, and that's consistent.
I would say that like even like with in terms of like scientific light wavelengths, it's just like,
Oh, that's true.
you know, like even if like we know like this wavelength is red, but like, you know, how is it actually perceived, right? Like,
How is it perceived?
because like yeah, and like yes, it ultimately doesn't matter at all because like we'll always stay consistent with our perception of like blue being blue. Everyone knows it's blue because we learn it as this. So like it doesn't matter if you see it as red. You'll call it blue. I'll call it blue. So we'll say, oh, this is blue, you know. But a lot of people.
You know, it's funny you bring that up because that reminds me, because we assign names to colors.
Yeah.
I was reading somewhere, and I don't know if this is true or not. This is just me kind of like getting lost on internet rabbit holes, right? I was reading somewhere that prior to a certain like time, almost most civilizations, human civilizations, because
Yeah.
we didn't have a good concept, or we didn't have a word for blue. So a lot of old scripts or written materials would refer to things that were blue as like red or wine or something different.
That's yeah, that's really weird to think about because like I know in blue is not a very like, well actually now that I think about it, blue is a very commonplace color in the fucking sky, but and water and shit like that, but like for whatever reason, like, you know, like in old Chinese and in Japanese, like blue means more like clear or like green, and then like later on, I don't know for sure about like Chinese, but like I know like there is a word now for blue in Chinese, but like in like older scripts it was like green, like the word for that we use nowadays for like green.
Well, the Japanese still use the word blue to describe things I would call green.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. Maybe Japanese people built different. Blue isn't a commonplace color. Yeah, I know. Like, yeah, perhaps that was the etymology of it. The dress lamau, fucking like the blue black dress, the gold white dress, the Yanny Laurel shit. Anyway, yeah, so any closing remarks for today? Otherwise we can call it an Otsunasu and we'll throw you guys somewhere together.
I had a lot of fun. Thank you, Peen, for having me on your channel and inviting me to do the ERP. I thought you were really creative with the story, and I have come to really I feel a sense of attachment to this character a lot, and I do hope that maybe someday you will expand your ERP sessions and maybe do a group one at some point.
Yeah, like now that I talk about it, like the more like I'm like leaning towards doing that. It seems like a lot of fun because like I said in the beginning of stream, right? Like we play sometimes on Discord, and for those of you guys who rolled in a little bit later, go ahead and join. We do every once in a while just like hop in voice chat and we just like randomly do ERPs. The eggplant kind, not the other kind, not the sussy kind. But yeah, like I find that it is like a lot more fun when you have like a group dynamic going on, no matter like who the people are, I feel like. But yeah, like now more I talk about it, the more I wanted to try to do a group thing. So perhaps you will see guests again on the channel in groups perhaps as well. Yes, and thank you, Madman, for coming to the channel. Thank you for reaching out and expressing interest in joining. I'm gonna have to make another recruitment post on this because I've gone through the list of like essentially only like 3 of you guys expressed interest to me directly that you wanted to do this. So now I'm gonna be like posting another recruitment thing like, hey VTuber friends, hey streamer friends, like come play some ERP.
They are missing out, and Yeah, the eggplant roleplay is great. It is
Thank you.
miles better than enterprise resource planning, which is the
no.
sussy kind of ERP.
That sounds boring as fuck though. Like that's not a very high bar. Ones in Discord, yeah, the ones in Discord are a lot more casual. I basically like, there's like no, I don't even think of like any sort of like overarching story. I like literally like have you guys start in a cold dark room or a cold dark train car, and then you just kind of take whatever wherever, and it's a lot of fun. Come play with us sometime if you are interested. If you do like what you saw today. But yeah, like I guess with that, I'm gonna bring you guys to my end screen, and then also Madman, I'm gonna end the call with you. So and I'll throw people over to a different channel. We're gonna raid somebody. Thank you again for coming to play.
Thank you, Peen. Thank you, chat. Also, Nasu.
Otsu. Oh no, his head disappeared. I forgot that's not reactive. Okay, we'll clean this up and while you guys look at my NC. Anyway. Anyway, stick around real quick. I'm gonna throw you guys somewhere. So I don't have a schedule yet, but I will be making it actually tonight because I know that beheaded, yeah, decapitation of Madman. Such an unfortunate end for an otherwise good session. I say lost your mind. So yeah, when it comes to so I know Aoi's gonna be away for this coming week, unfortunately, and Nia just released her schedule, which means I will be releasing my schedule later tonight or maybe early tomorrow. I know for a fact that I will be streaming tomorrow during the day. I'm taking the day off because there's like a stream I want to catch, and I otherwise would have to go to the office, and fuck going to the office. So I'm taking a vacation day for that shit. maybe I'll just spend the day doing like animation again, because I realize I need to do a couple of more animation stuff. If I can't just do it once a week, it's not gonna get completed at all. And then on I think Friday I'm gonna be doing a collab, and you'll see who that's going to be soon. Other than that, I'll be deciding it as I go tonight. So please stay tuned. You'll see what's going on. Make sure you check my Twitter for updates. Stick around real quick. I'm gonna throw you guys somewhere. Let's go say hi. Let's go say hi to. Let's go say hi to. Let's go say hi to Kazune. He's playing Cult of the Lamb. Let's join his cult. Otsunasu, everybody. I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow sometime. I'll decide the time. I'll see you sometime tomorrow. Give him a good old sinister peening.